Micah requested me on Patreon to review Waking Sleeping Beauty, a documentary about the rise of the Disney animation renaissance in the late 80s and early 90s. The movie was directed by Don Hahn, who started his career at Disney in the late 70s and eventually produced Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, and other acclaimed animated films. I think this is a wonderful documentary, and I even ranked it number 3 on my list of best documentaries about movies. Being a Disney-produced film, you might expect it to paint a rosy picture of the studio at the time. However, Waking Sleeping Beauty works because it does not sugarcoat the details. There's a lot of emphasis on the behind-the-scenes difficulties and frustrations that come with making a film. The film spends a considerable amount of time going over the corporate infighting among top Disney executives like Jeffrey Katzenberg and Michael Eisner, and how that affected the animated films the audiences would associate with the Disney name. Even in these interviews conducted well after these execs left Disney and went on to other things, they still try to put blame on the other. It really shows the tensions that can come from running a movie studio, and the egos that can occasionally get bruised, no matter if the film flops or is a humongous hit. Rather than going for a traditional talking heads approach, Don Hahn decided to go the route of using archival clips, audio interviews, and his own narration to tell the story of those years at Disney Animation. The documentary manages to highlight the role each film played in the studio's development, and how they impacted the next movie in the production pipeline. Even though it only runs 85 minutes, we still get the necessary details of the films and the problems that arose as they tried to get them ready for release. While promotional materials for animated movies often depict animators as happy-go-lucky and always pleased at their desks, Waking Sleeping Beauty portrays the frustrations they felt as they coped with corporate changes and making sure the work does not get in the way of their health. I've noticed a common misconception among animation fans, where they seem to think that if a movie is of a lower quality, that means the animators had a miserable time working on it. However, as shown with this film, animators can indeed become stressed when working on something wildly acclaimed. Some of the highlights of this movie come from the footage filmed by animator Randy Cartwright when he was at Disney. These provide a candid view of the conditions of the studio and the morale of the employees there, and even offers glimpses of artists like Glen Keane and a young man named Tim Burton. All of the clips and archival material is perfectly edited into Waking Sleeping Beauty and does such a good job of showing how Disney Animation went from being beaten in the box office by Don Bluth and the Care Bears to becoming an animation powerhouse again. An interesting aspect is showing how the animators react to the newer Hollywood executives coming in, a far cry from the folks who've been running the studio since Walt Disney passed away. It's a fascinating contrast and culture clash, and shows how almost far removed from the rest of Hollywood Disney was for a time. There's also a portion of the film that criticized the philosophy the Walt Disney Company held for a while, of always trying to do what Walt would have done. But as his own nephew, Roy Disney, points out, attempting to guess the decisions of a dead person is a terrible way to run an entertainment company. They cannot just remain stagnant, and I appreciate the film going after that mindset. Walt Disney was a one-of-a-kind studio head, and he had a lot of incredible, innovative ideas and was behind several excellent movies. However, Disney cannot just keep making the same movies over and over again, and as Waking Sleeping Beauty showed, it was letting the younger artists bring the ideas to the table and making animated films for the next generation that allowed Disney to rise to new heights with movies like Aladdin and The Lion King. Disney is not going to make the same movies they made 20 or 30 years ago when you were a child, and that's a good thing. The documentary is not only about the troubles of these productions. Hahn makes sure to highlight how important talents like Alan Menken, Howard Ashman, Ron Clements, John Musker, Gary Trousdale, Kirk Wise, Glen Keane, and even Katzenberg, Eisner, and Frank Wells were in shaping the animated films we'd come to know and love. The film really is a celebration of the artists and filmmakers, how much they accomplished in all the years depicted in the documentary. It does end after the release of The Lion King, though. While there are a few mentions of Pocahontas starting up production and Disney making their deal with Pixar, the movie prefers to conclude with the opening of Disney's biggest animated film yet, and Katzenberg leaving. And that's understandable. Waking Sleeping Beauty is focused on that particular part of the studio's history and the shifts that happened there. Could Hahn eventually make a sequel showing the eventual popularity of computer animation, the later up and down successes and failures of Walt Disney Animation Studios, Michael Eisner being replaced by Bob Iger, and John Lasseter's time running things? Maybe when the time is right, but this documentary was clearly Don Hahn bringing his own perspective when he was there, and he became less involved with WDAS after Bolt. He did also direct Howard, a documentary about Howard Ashman, which serves as a very good companion piece. Waking Sleeping Beauty remains a brilliant examination of a specific time at the world's most famous animation studio, and a wonderful tribute to the folks who helped bring us classics like The Little Mermaid and The Lion King. If you've seen Waking Sleeping Beauty, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Micah.